That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, one of the best parts of being a church minister is you get to see people grow up. I remember the first time, it was a Christmas time, and they, little, tiny, yeah, here we go. Well, happy President's Day tomorrow. You may notice on your table there's a little quiz to see how much you know about presidents. We'll get to that in a little bit. But we say happy President's Day, but sometimes I don't think happy about presidents, so I wanted to give you some happy president notes. Ronald Reagan said, "I've left orders to be awakened at any time in case of national emergency, even if I'm in a cabinet meeting." Yeah, go ahead and wake me up. Abraham Lincoln, "If I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one?" And this last one, Jimmy Carter, I just love. "My esteem in this country has gone up substantially. It's very nice now when people wave at me, they use all their fingers." Oh, yeah. Well, also this week we began Lent, the Lenten time, the time of fasting and feasting. I think Lent could stand for lose erroneous negative thoughts. We want to work on letting go of those things that are negative, really erroneous in our thinking. So Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, he talked about Lent about learning to deny our selfish impulses and be obedient to the impulses of brotherly love. Or Georgina Tree West, she wrote a wonderful book, The 10 Commandments of Prosperity. She wrote that fast from criticism and condemnation and feast on brotherly love. So I love that approach to the Lenten experience as we come up to Easter about fasting from those things that we don't want in our lives that are negative and feasting on the love, the connection, how to be kind, if you will. So I thought for this Lent we'd look at the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements has been out there for a while, but it's the most quoted book that I hear in the congregation. People are always referring to one or the other of these agreements. And the agreements are basically be impeccable with your word, don't take it personally, make no assumptions, and always do your best. Pretty simple, and at the same time pretty complicated and pretty inbred within us. So being impeccable with our words is what we're going to talk about today. And here at Unity, words are really important to us. We get that our words are creative and oftentimes formative, if you will. So the power of our word has this energy that goes out, whether we just think it or whether we speak it. So we know that it's real important to be conscious of what's coming out of our mouth or what's going around in our brain. Unity, we have a little rhyme that we often refer to, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And I love it that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, because there's a lot of awful stuff that flits through my mind from time to time, fear, disgust, whatever that might be. But it's those things we hold in our mind. And we're not talking about just the brain there. We're talking about this connection between our heart and our thinking nature, our feeling and thinking nature. So it's about being impeccable with our word is learning to use the power of our word in the direction of peace and love. Togetherness as opposed to separateness or otherness, if you will. So the little quiz on your table, I thought we'd take a little check to see which presidents were impeccable with their word. I wanted to know if you could recognize who might have said these things. So there are no accidents in my philosophy because every effect must have its cause. The past is the cause of the present will be the cause of the future. All these are links in the endless train stretching from finite to infinite. One of our presidents said that. Any guesses? Okay, Abraham Lincoln. Wow, who knew he was a New Thought person? Oh, David got it, huh? I see him. Okay. This is a great one too. If wrinkles must be written on our brow, let them not be written on our heart. The spirit should never grow old. Garfield, James Garfield, which I know very little about other than he was the 16th president, but that was kind of a really nice thought he had there. Okay, here's another one. Live simply, love generously, care deeply, speak kindly, and leave the rest to God. You're going to be surprised at this one. Ronald Reagan. Oh, you knew, Greg. Okay. See, we all have these different levels of knowledge here. Freedom is the open window through which pours the sunlight of the human spirit and human dignity. Bomb is the guess, Hubert Hoover. You know, when you think about the times when they were serving. We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams. Jimmy Carter, yeah. Okay, one more. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. It's the last one, all together now. Oh, So the power of those words. You know, in the beginning, the creation story, there's 4 of them in the Bible. There's 2 in Genesis, 1 in Psalms, and 1 in the New Testament. And the New Testament is in John, when it says, in the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Word, was that vibration, was that creative force, that formative force. Something happened to cause things to be creative. As we talk about the impeccable word, impeccable, the root is from a Latin word that is peccatus, which means sin, which in unity we understand as error. Sin like a bow, an arrow sins from the target. You miss the mark. So we look at this idea of sin as error, that we make an error. We miss the mark, if you will. So being impeccable means without error. So there's that really pure, loving words that align with truth, the truth of goodness, the truth of life, those greater ideas, greater expressions. But we have this error of really speaking against ourselves very often, that we have a tendency to blame and judge ourselves continually. There's that little voice going on, whether it be your mother, whether it be a teacher, whether it be a combination of all those people that you heard as blaming and judging you. I'm not saying that they were, but we heard it that way. So we have this kind of rating system that we go on with all the time, that little tape in the back of our head. So as part of this Lenten series on the 4 agreements and being impeccable in our word, that one of the things we can learn to do is to take responsibility for what we did. Could have been a mistake, could have been great, something great and perfect, but to just accept that without blame or judgment. It just is. Why do we need to put a grade on it? You know, we start letting ourselves just be, I ate breakfast. You don't have to say if it was off your diet or on your diet, you know. And be responsible. If you say, you know, be responsible and don't blame yourself. Whenever we start trying to do something, we make a mistake or we fail to do it, we can be really hard on ourselves. Being impeccable really involves self-love. And you know, I was raised in a church where humbleness was really a high value, and it was translated as to low worth. So the idea of self-love is one of those ideas that makes me glad I put on deodorant. Just makes me a little nervous, you know. But to really be able to feel good about ourselves, just as we are, not that we'll feel good when we get to this point in our life where we get this done or make this accomplishment or, you know, do this or that, but just to accept ourselves as we are and to love it, not to be ashamed by ourselves. I love when Chris said there was no sign language for shame. Okay. So getting into self-love, it really begins with giving up self-disrespect for Lent. Isn't that something unusual to give up for Lent? Giving up disrespecting ourselves. Wow, just letting that go. And if you'd like to affirm this with me in the italics there, just settle this in together. Every time a self-critical thought comes to my mind, I will forgive my inner judge and follow this comment with words of praise, self-acceptance, and love. In the teen groups in Unity, the YOU, whenever you heard somebody do a put down to somebody else, you had to do 3 put-ups. Right? So if you hear yourself saying something bad to yourself, you got to come back and say 3 nice things about yourself. It really helps you break you of that habit, and you start listening to what it is that you're saying about yourself. You know, and sometimes the small talk that we do, the inconsequential talk, have to really say some stupid things. Girls do a lot of jump roping with little rhymes. Some of the women here may have remembered doing those rhymes. And some of the rhymes are really derogatory. And we would go out there for hours jumping rope, saying those things over and over and over again, and then wonder why we weren't confident when we grew up. I mean, we had just put that tape in there saying, I'm not even going to repeat the things that we used to say on that. The other trick, I think, into self-respect is to accept praise and criticism equally. Now, most of us would prefer to get praise than we would to get criticism. But however much energy you shift on one side of that teeter-totter of opinions, equal energy is going to come on the other side. We can accept praise and criticism equally. We get a different perspective. We're not trying to please. We're not trying to hit a high mark. We're just going, interesting. Nothing more than that. It's just interesting. Criticism, yeah, that's a different way of doing that, or maybe I could have done it that way. I mean, that's all that it is. It doesn't have this attachment that we sometimes give to it. We actually need to become the observer of ourselves, because we really are the best at undercutting ourselves. We're really the best at disrespecting ourselves. So going into Lent and thinking about developing self-love is a huge, huge step in our own personal development. Now, how about giving up gossiping for Lent? Nothing beneficial from gossip unless it's positive gossip. So I got some help coming up here. Donette and Dave's going to come up and do a little skit with me. Yeah, come on up. Come on down. The price is right. If you would like to go to that handheld mic over there so people can hear you, and David, if you'd like to go to the lectern there and push the button, that will turn you on. I guess Valentine love is still. Oh, is that? That's a windsock, yeah, okay. It's pretty sensitive. Just press the button so it comes up. There we go.
Whoa.
Okay, so we're at work, say this, and Dave is playing John, and I'm standing next to him, and he starts talking to me and says,
Mary is really lazy.
I never noticed that. She is talented, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay, so later I see Mary over the coffee machine, and this is the conversation that follows. You know, I was talking to John earlier, and he was saying that you're very talented.
Wow, I didn't know he thought that of me. I've always felt he was very judgmental and snobby.
Oh, well, never picked up on that. Really hard worker, though, isn't he?
Well, I guess I'll give him some credit for that.
Well, the next day, I'm talking with John, and I happened to say this to him. You know, Mary was talking about what a hard worker you were.
Really? I didn't think she liked me. But maybe she's not so bad after all.
Well, you know what happens now. The next time John and Mary cross paths, they have a totally different perspective of themselves. Anyway, thank you. That's our little, thank you so much. Now that's that's a little God gossip. You know? Where you kind of take those things and you cherry pick the highest vibration of the words that are being said. Cherry pick those higher words, a little God gossip, if you will. Okay, this is another one I like to breathe through. Let go of the need to defend and the need to be right. Yeah, there's an adage, a popular adage in the Course in Miracles that says, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And people go, well, if I'm right, I will be happy. But that is, you know, that kind of happiness is fleeting, because if you're right now, you're going to be wrong another time. We want that inner happiness. So letting go of the need to be right and the need to defend. We all have opinions on everything. You may not think you're opinionated, but I guarantee that you are. You have a place maybe that you like to sit when you come to church. You like certain temperatures outside better than other temperatures outside. You like certain food better than others. We all are an opinionated group. And that's okay. In fact, that's wonderful, until we get defensive about it if we're challenged. Like if I say, that was the best cookie I ever had, and somebody goes, no, this one was better, and I try to prove this cookie was better than that cookie, I mean, why? That's the same with all opinions. They are our own personal ideas, and we are different from each other, so of course we're going to have different opinions. And when we come together in a community like this, we really acknowledge that it's very diverse. Even in our spiritual beliefs, we all have different levels, different ideas of our spiritual life. But we come together in a community wanting it to be not only diverse, but a safe place. And if it's safe enough that you can be brave, you can actually say those things that are different than maybe what other people think. And you both grow from that as we hear different ideas. So think about what it's like to really feel safe and brave, that even when you say something that's totally different than you've heard from anybody else, you don't risk being excommunicated or excommunication, that everybody stops talking to you. It's such a, I know many people that have started at Unity that were in a different traditional path, and they were starting to have these spiritual experiences, and they were afraid to say anything to their friends that their friends are going to have them committed. That they sensed this presence. They had these moments of deep inner joy. It was just different words and a different expression. And when they came here, and first they might whisper one tiny little inconsequential thing, and when nobody freaks out, they get a little braver and they might say the next thing or the next thing. And just really acknowledging the wonderful richness of the diversity with us in community, with our thoughts, especially when we give up that need to be right and to defend what it is that we are saying. Now, this is a really difficult one to work on and being impeccable with our words. So the suggestion is that maybe you pick just one thing you're going to give up defending. Or maybe you try everything for 1 hour. You're not going to defend anything, and it can't be when you're sleeping. Though some people have dreams where maybe they do that. But can you see what it would be like to observe yourself and watch yourself from not making that kind of defense mechanism? Because defense just puts up walls, right? And that we want to connect. There's something within our hearts that wants to connect with each other, to be kind with each other, as they were singing about. And then we get into that symbol of the power of our word. I don't know what you came up with. A rock, a heart. I like the wind because it's invisible and blows. Austin was talking about water. Some people think of the word as a two-edged sword, right? It can cut and it can defend. A windmill, because you see the movement of the words, or sometimes it's expressed in art. Whatever those symbols were for you, it's really good to image that the words can have a substance. Because we think they don't mean anything. It just comes out and floats and dissipates. When in truth, it comes out and creates a wave. In the beginning was the word. Every war we've had on this planet has begun in words. It's not the first shot. It's the words that were said. The defense mechanisms, the need to be right, the need to be the most powerful, the need to overcome. Those words have substance. In the beginning was the word, always. So in Lent, about being impeccable with the word, I often associate Lent with the time that Jesus went out into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 simply means as long as it takes to make those kind of changes within us, to ask ourselves the questions that are in our heart, and to listen for the answers that are coming from that higher wisdom. So being impeccable with our word, suppose in Lent you gave up self-disrespect and consciously loved yourself. We could never start anything new without giving something else up. So you have to give it up first to make room for the new activity. So give up self-disrespect, consciously love yourself. Give up hurtful gossip and start some God gossip. I want to tell you that Mary and John ended up going out on a date, got married and had 5 kids and lived happily ever after. And give up the need to be right. Choose to be happy. That is always the right choice. So let's take a little time to meditate on this. I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Yeah, breathing, that's a good idea. Take a couple breaths here. Just feeling that joy. of being present, of being safe, of being authentic. As we enter into this inner space, this inner sanctum, we enter it with an attitude of fasting from that which does not serve us or the world, and feasting on that which truly feeds us, feeds our soul, feeds the soul of the world. We sit here in the vibration of oneness, the vibration of fullness, the vibration of infinite possibilities and creation. So we can we can fast. We can refrain from focusing on differences so that we might feast on this idea of oneness, of interconnectedness. Feel yourself in the darkness, the unknown, and knowing you can fast from that emptiness, from that darkness, so that you may feast on the light, the love, the fullness. What a great day to fast from illness. To allow that condition to be without judgment, but to let go of our attachment to that, so we might feast on health and wholeness, on healing, on that activity of vibrancy that is always seeking to burst forth from within us. The chaos, the pollution, not only of our world, but of our thoughts. We can fast from that which pollutes, so that we can feast on that which is pure, that which is light, that which is of one substance, purified, holy. That restlessness that sometimes comes in our hearts, that season of discontent. What a perfect thing to fast from, so that we might feast on gratitude for that which we have, the many, many incredible things that are ours, our sight, our hearing, our homes, cupboards and fridges that are full, people who connect with us. And for those days when the discontent has tied us up into knots, the double-edged sword of anger, let us release that. Let us fast from that. Let us refuse to bring anger into these days of Lent, so we might go forth with optimism, seeing the light, seeing the possibilities, seeing the beauty forever expanding. For all those things where we have no answer, and we begin to worry and fret, and the stories build and grow into greater awfulness, let us fast from those thoughts. Let us let go of the worry, so that we might open ourselves up to see the divine order of all things, that there is a divine purpose and interrelatedness and expression towards a greater creation of life and love. Let us refuse to complain. Fast from complaining. Letting it go, for it has no place, it has no vibration in our healing, in our comfort, in our joy. And instead, let us fast on appreciation, for we are so blessed immeasurably blessed in so many things, from fast to feast, and so it is. Amen.
I can feel it, oh, your presence, oh, your presence. I can feel it, I can feel it, oh, your presence, oh, your presence. It is great, it is good, it is perfect. Oh, your presence, oh, your presence. It is great, it is good, it is holy. Oh, your presence, oh, your presence. I can feel it, I can feel it. Oh, your mercy, oh, your mercy. It is great, it is good, it is perfect. Oh, your presence, oh, your presence. It is great, it is good, it is holy. Oh, your presence, oh, your presence. And I know in my body you reside, and I know I am breathing in your life, and I know I am seeing through your eyes, and I know that your heart is beating mine. I can feel it, I can feel it. Oh, your love, oh, your love. I can feel it, I can feel it. Oh, your